on your evil mind.
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerdSneed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody?
We move around in B-R-double-O-K-L-Y-N.
That's a new sound drop, care of Master Ace, Marco Polo, featuring Smith & Wesson, and thanks to Roddykat for that referral.
No problem. You can find this here podcast on the Coast of the Podcast Network, the CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us in your podcast browser place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coast of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page. You can also find this recording every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. EST at EST, that is, on twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles and youtube.com/TheKliqNation. That's TheKliqNation.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and give us the 5-star reviews.
Folks, we're going to start off with, since it is Thursday night and She-Hulk dropped this very day, we're going to get into a spoiler light recap of She-Hulk Episode 3, The People versus Emil Blonsky.
Yes, as Roddykat mentioned, this episode premiered earlier today, the day of this recording on Thursday, September 1st. So we're going to tread very lightly, very, very lightly in spoiler territory. So I'm going to ring the spoiler bell in 3, 2, 1. Spoilers, at least mild and light ones, are incoming.
That would probably be a spoiler if you were paying some sorts of attention. But then again, it's not something we didn't know that was coming, but we'll may or may not get to that after a while. So yeah, it is called The People versus Emil Blonsky. Jennifer. So Jennifer finds out that the footage from basically Shang-Chi of the Abomination and Wong fighting in the Kumite gets out to the public and makes the news circles. And of course, in relation to that, so does Jen. And she's happy.
I like that little reference to the Kumite. I was like, oh, we're Bloodsport. Cool.
That was pretty cool. And the lady was like, what? I mean, it was like, like, I don't know what she thought it was, but we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, this is weird. Okay,
well,
yeah, Jen's driving along. She finds out that Wong was the one that broke out Emil Blonsky. She has Nikki, not Ginger. Ginger's a real name. Gets Nikki to try to find Wong, and then she breaks into the fourth wall breaking while she's driving, which is very unsafe. But then again, hey, she's got that power. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No. I was gonna jump in just in case you were still skimming to make it spoiler light.
Yeah. That's pretty much that. But she does during this whole spoiler thing. He's talking about this is not going to be one of those shows where there's going to be a cameo every week, which has turned out not to be true so far, and probably not going to be true going forward, judging by who shows up later on in the show, which we won't spoil. But I gave a hint just a minute ago. Let's just say. But it's also one that's been rumored for the last month. Nevertheless, the crux of the show, without getting too knee deep in it, was basically Jen trying to find Jen's defense. Well, her former defense has been upended, so she kind of had to come with the new strategy. And that strategy involves Wong, which people knew he was going to be in the show anyway, so that's not so much of a spoiler. There was some shenanigans with him getting there for his recount, and also something real funny on the way out from him on that. And some of this has actually shown up in the commercials, because there was a whole Blonsky turned into an abomination that happened in this whole thing. Like I said, we get a B plot having to do with one of Jen's old co-workers who had a case up against him, which I feel like that's another thing, a similar thing that would happen in the comic books. Not necessarily old co-workers, but things like that would happen in where there would be like a couple of different things, a couple of different cases, seemingly different cases kind of would happen. But then again, that's a lawyer show stuff, so that's not necessarily the comic book stuff. But they did kind of intersect somewhere in the middle of this show. There was
Right. So just very quickly, that B plot line, which eventually intersects with the A plot line with Jen and with the Abomination. Ultimately, that B plot line involves this character Dennis, a current assistant district attorney. I think that's I think that's what their titles were, and he is dealing with some straight up fraud and catfishing, which was very interestingly portrayed, let's say. And I really enjoyed some of the dialogue that was written for Jen Walters and expertly delivered, I thought, by Tatiana Maslany, because of how incredulous she sounded based on the person that Dennis thought he was dating. Right? I thought that was incredibly well written and incredibly acted out by Tatiana Maslany. I gave her a lot of credit on that. That was very well done.
Yeah, she's pretty good. I will definitely say at this and her former show that she's got note for. So I would say she's pulled some good turns in this so far. Similarly. I don't know. Like I said, because it came out that they don't want to get too far into it.
Right, exactly. That we're skirting. Listen, we're covering things in very broad strokes. At the end of the day, you're still going to have to watch this episode and really take in the take in the fact that it is light, but we can see that there are clear signs that this show is likely going to set up a lot of what happens in the next stages of the MCU. Because we do get an appearance from Wong, as Roddykat mentioned, and he has been so far integral in all of the recent MCU films, except for maybe Eternals. Where Wong has made an appearance in an attempt to tie things together. And, it's not necessarily in the main plot. Sometimes it's in the post-credits, as in Shang-Chi. But at the end of the day, Wong is going to prove to be a main character in the next part of the story. He's definitely forming something up. Right. And we also, and again, what Jen Walters is doing is not necessarily creating a defense, but making a case for Emil Blonsky's parole. And one of the things that's part of making a case for his parole is that he's proven to be, one of the strongest cases that any potential parolee can make is that they have been a model inmate. And a lot of the things that come to light are very surprising. One of them is an interesting revelation as to who those pen pals are. It's not who we thought they were. It was not who we thought they were.
Fan theory was thrown out with the revelation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought that was incredibly funny when the pen pals were revealed not to be who both myself, Roddykat, and probably half or 3/4 of the internet thought it was.
Now, to be fair, I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't want to believe that was the case, but I felt like, I don't know, I had doubts on the fact that it was going to be what people
Roddykat is
no, seriously, I'm not
is Monday morning quarterbacking himself
I am
now.
very much not. I looked at what everybody said, and I had my doubts with that, because I was like, I don't know, they were playing this a little too straight.
You can't handle the truth.
Anyway,
You believe
so
what you want, but look, I know.
but anyway, just
I know
moving
what I-
on with
I
the
know
rest
what
of
I
the
saw,
show.
so.
So at the end of the day, both cases are resolved during the course of this roughly half-hour show, and we get some resolution to both cases. There is a less than surprising cameo if you've been listening to our news section in this episode. So we have spoken about this potential cameo, I believe, at least once during the news section. So it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. And it actually is a cameo that stretches into another post-credit scene. So now it seems like every episode of this show is going to feature a post-credit stinger, of varying degrees of comedy and or dramatic effect, or potential to move the story along. So ultimately, we have to remind everyone to stay watching, especially if they're watching She-Hulk, to catch that last stinger. So we've done our best to not spoil anything. I'm gonna hand it off to Roddykat and see if there's anything else he wants to add.
Well, I would say, I guess it's a little bit late for this, because if you've been on the internet anytime today, you probably got some glimpses of the spoiler. If you were trying.
Oh, you
to
mean of
stay
the guest star?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even.
Well,
right now,
we talked about it.
Oh, I know.
We
But
already talked about it.
it was also still at that time when we talked about it, it was still rumored. So it wasn't
Correct.
That didn't get confirmed until like right before the show dropped. But
Right.
pretty much the day before the show dropped. So, but either that, like I said, I don't think it would be still a welcome surprise, or it'll be still welcome, I suspect, to a large swath of the audience, whether you've been spoiled on it or not. Let's just say that, because that post-credit scene, I never thought something like that would happen in my lifetime.
I didn't think they were gonna CGI that particular
Yes.
motion. That particular motion, I kind of giggled when I saw it. I was like, really?
I cracked
Okay.
up. I
You know?
up. Huh, that's interesting. But
So.
yeah, I cracked up when that happened. Outside of that, though, there's really not much else to say about the show. It was fun.
Right. We're not trying to spoil everything though, folks.
Right. Jen
Because it's so new.
Right,
It
Jen's
literally
still-
dropped earlier today. And what's funny is that finish up. I just wanted to mention what comes out tonight, which I didn't realize was actually going to be a timed release.
Oh, you talking about the Lord of the Rings thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
So just finish up and then I'll talk about that real quick.
So yeah, the only thing I would say is like Jen's still wrestling with her, with her private versus public persona, which that is one of the themes of this show. And it looks like she may or may not be at a turning point near the end of this. And the only other thing to say in closing, which this is again news that we heard about happening, if you're into the comics, a familiar set of Thor villains pops in at the end of this show to, I would say give She-Hulk some grief, but she really didn't, it's just, she really didn't need that much help, but it also brings up a question of two as to why they were there and who they were working for, judging by what was being said.
Right,
One
and how they
particular comment.
looked, because
Yeah.
they were nowhere near as fearsome or as intimidating as their Marvel. I don't want to call like I hate the fact that Feige's calling the MCU the 616. I agree with oh my gosh, what is that actress's name who plays Ms. Marvel?
Iman Vellani.
Yes, Iman Vellani. I agree with Iman Vellani. The 616 is the comic book main universe.
Yeah, true.
Right? So the comic book main universe characters, the versions of these characters that we saw that were revealed in this episode are a lot more fearsome. These are a bunch of schlubs.
I don't know. They've been played for jokes for a good swath of the
time. Right, they actually looked like schlubs.
Well, that's also true.
Right, that's my point. They look like schlubs, whereas the characters, their equivalent characters in the regular Marvel universe are not schlubby looking at all. They are intimidating to even, regular looking superheroes. Standing next to Spider-Man, for example, they would be very intimidating looking. So, I was disappointed
I don't know about that. Okay.
What's that?
I said I'm going to slightly disagree with you on that one, but I see where you're going.
No, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're definitely not the most fearsome opponents, right? They definitely get used as fodder, as in wrestling terms. I had it on the tip of my tongue. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Jobbers, right? They are definitely jobbers, right? They're meant to make the heroes look good. But in this case, their portrayal, like unless they're in for an upgrade, which they might be, they very well might be. When I saw that and I saw what they were, the items that they were wielding and the references that She-Hulk was making, I'm like, could that be? And then when they, and then there was some further dialogue that basically solidified who they were. I was like, oh, that is so disappointing. Why are they a bunch of jobbers? They look like a bunch of schmoes.
Right. Well,
so
we'll see what happens when they come back, because it appears they will be back.
Right.
Feels like it.
We'll see.
So yeah, so that's pretty much She-Hulk episode 3. Like I said, fun. It was a good time, and I'm looking forward to next week. And I suspect that cameo is probably also going to come back at some point. I have a weird feeling. I don't know if that's true or not, but during the course of this, the cameo's probably going to come back again.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I said, it's my hope that these characters are portrayed a little closer to their comic book reality. They're still jobbers, but they should look a little bit more intimidating. I also wanted to mention, Roddykat can disagree, that's fine, but I think back on my introduction to these characters.
I know.
They were the jobbers in Secret Wars, like the original Marvel superhero Secret Wars. They were like the actual cannon fodder for Doom, for the villain army, right? So they were still intimidating, they were still fearsome, So, but in any event, I wanted to mention that the Amazon Prime Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power series actually dropped their first 2 episodes tonight, Thursday, September 1st, but specifically at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I had no idea it was going to be a timed release, so it's very interesting that in the weeks to follow, which I did not know, episodes will roll out once per week on Fridays. So we're always going to be just a touch behind when we're broadcasting the Comic Book Chronicles. So we'll just make sure to cover. I don't know if Roddykat will be watching it, but I'll be watching it to cover these first 2 episodes in very broad strokes on next week's episode.
Right. Well, unless we have weeks like we did the last couple of weeks, and we end up recording on a Saturday or something. So
right, because life gets in the way. I get it. Yep.
So who's to say? But yeah, I don't know. I am curious about it. So we'll see.
Alrighty, so
let us move on to the books.
Yep. So, President Bartlett.
What's next?
And
first book we're going to cover will be, I believe we said X-Men number 14.
Alrighty, so X-Men number 14 is written by Jerry Duggan with art by C.F. Villa, colors by Matt Miller, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So again, broad stroke stuff, and I'll let Roddykat fill in some of the details because I don't have a review copy in front of me. Broad strokes is that we catch up with the new version of the X-Men hero team on Krakoa as they deal with the ongoing battle against the Eternals, the large Eternals and the large machine Eternals that are being unleashed, that have been unleashed against Krakoa. So this is, I believe, occurring in the aftermath of Judgment Day, AXE Judgment Day number 3 or number 2. Are we up to 3? You're muted, Roddykat.
I believe we are up to 3.
Okay,
But
I think we read
so
3.
think it was
I can't
2.
remember.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it was 2, but either way,
All right, so let's say it was 2. I mean, at the end of the day, we're in that period once the Celestial that once made up Avengers Mountain has been reinvigorated, let's say, and judgment has been passed on several characters unfairly, in my judgment. You know, like whatchamacallit, Kieran Gillen and I are gonna have words about that at some point. So, but I will let Roddykat take it from here.
So yeah, weirdly enough, this is less of a Axe Judgment Day tie-in than it is. Although they do definitely bring that up halfway through this. But basically, the main story is kind of brings us back around to Game World. So there's still shenanigans going on there, which I thought they took care of Cordyceps Jones, but I don't know if that. But just because we thought that may or may not be the case doesn't mean there were people either still out the loop and or still, still running around with their bets in their pockets, basically.
Right.
So the crux of this issue is dealing with one such plot and scheme by some. I'm curious of what you thought about this part, because there were some folks running around with some very familiar helmets that I didn't think you could even find anymore. Because I thought all of the folks who wore those helmets were pretty much dealt with the exception of the one or two.
Well, what Roddykat is referring to are helmets that look very much like the helmet that Sam Alexander wears.
Right.
And I don't remember the resolution of that story. I was not keeping up that closely with the Sam Alexander Nova's book. That, I think Roddykat was, but that was such a long time ago that I couldn't remember
Actually,
what happened to that group of Novas.
Right, and actually, I believe part of that was like near the end of the Champions run, if I'm not mistaken, because Sam did end up getting basically his powers back. And yeah, there was some dealing with that, but I don't remember the full extent of that either.
Right.
But we know the Nova Corps are pretty much all down to Richard Rider and supposedly Sam still at this point.
Right.
So, and now that you say what you just said, yeah, those could have been facsimile helmets that just happened to look like Sam's, and they didn't necessarily have powers. Otherwise,
right.
I feel like
or they could just be leftover. Right. They could just be leftovers, and they didn't have the capabilities. We just don't know.
Right.
But ultimately, I noticed that as well, and they were dealt with, summarily. It's not like they proved to be difficult.
Right. One of
opposition.
Right. So basically, it was Cyclops and Magic up against this group, which handled them easily. Of course, they're two war captains. What else was going to happen? But the plot they laid out was still kind of in effect to leave to the Earthbound Krakoans to deal with, and that includes one Iceman, Firestar, and Jean Grey, and some other folks to deal with that plot, which has something to do with the sun. So we wouldn't necessarily go through that. So that cover that you're seeing, if you're watching the video version, not necessarily representative of anything that happens in the course of the story. So, but the X-Men take care of that. Meanwhile, Cyclops has a nice little chat with the Celestial, and let's just say his judgment goes favorably for him in that, which Agent 70 has going back to Agent 70's issue with
Yeah, a whole lot of nope for me. Seriously, I was like, seriously, that's how we're gonna get judged in this? Like, that's how you're gonna influence the judge? It's forget unfair. It's just wrong. But what are you gonna do?
Actually, and it wasn't even, well, in this case, it wasn't Kieran Gillen. It was Jared Duggan who wrote this particular issue. But, Kieran Gillen wrote the issue that that Agent 70 has with another rule.
Yeah, seriously.
It was pretty terrible. It was bad. It was awful. It was terrible. Get him away.
And I guess it is worth thinking that this does take place after Judgment Day number 3. So whatever's still going on is still kind of going on regardless. And I don't even know how much. Well, the reading order in the back tells us how much we have left, but it's a lot to go through. Because we're pretty much getting into a bunch of tie-ins at this point, including another book that we'll probably breeze through during rapid fire. So, or we'll end up going into, which is unnecessary, but enough about that. So that was pretty much X-Men 14, unless you got something else to talk about with that.
No, we can move on. We don't have a lot of books this week, folks. It's a fifth week, publishing week. It's Labor Day week. So at the end of the day, we're probably going to get through this part very quickly, much quicker than we normally do. So I think we can move on.
What's next?
To Amazing Fantasy number 1000. So it's kind of a weird anniversary issue.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm going to go through this entire credits line and spare Roddykat some of this trouble. So here we go. So the first story is written by Anthony Flacone and Michael Cho, with art by Michael Cho and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. The second story in this anniversary issue is written by Dan Slott, with pencils and inks by Jim Chung, colors by J. David Ramos, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. The third story is written by Armando Iannucci, pencils by Ryan Stegman, inks by J.P. Mayer, and colors by Sonia Obach. Letters for that story are also by VC's Joe Sabino. The fourth story is written by Rainbow Rowell, with pencils and inks by Olivier Coipel, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Ariana Mayer. The fifth story is written by Ho Che Anderson, with pencils by Giuseppe Camuncoli, inks by Klaus Janson, colors by Jordi Belair, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. The sixth story in this, kind of anniversary anthology issue is written by Kurt Busiek, with pencils and colors by Terry Dodson, inks by Rachel Dodson, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. The seventh story is written by Jonathan Hickman, with pencils and inks by Marco Cacchetto. Colors are by Frank Martin, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. The eighth and final story is written by Neil Gaiman, with pencils and inks by Steve McNiven, colors by Steve McNiven and Richard Eisenove, and letters by Todd Klein. Now, I'm going to tell you that this is, to me, a clear candidate for Kliq of the Week. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the audience of the Comic Book Chronicles, all persons out there, since I know there are some people who don't fall under any of those categories. So all persons out there, I think I've said this on this show before, that Spider-Man is essentially my 1A favorite character. Captain America is my 1B, and I have different reasons for liking them both equally. But there are several stories in this issue that really show why Spider-Man is a lot of people's number one character. There are a lot of stories in here that really strike at the heart of why Spider-Man resonates with anybody and everybody that thinks that they can be the one underneath the mask. Obviously that is more more. I think that's more solidly portrayed when we're talking about Miles. But at the end of the day, Miles is a derivative of Peter, and what we're talking about here is how, Peter Parker's plight as a character, as portrayed in all of these kind of shorter stories, is, just really reflects how strong the character is, and how far the character has come from his earliest days, and still has a lot of stories left in him to tell, despite what Zeb Wells is doing in the regular Spider-Man comic book right now. So, I'm not going into any of the details until maybe Roddykat brings up some of these stories, but I'll tell you that the Slott story for me was really good. The Slott and Jim Chung story was really good. I liked the Hickman story. I did, in fact, appreciate the Busiek story, which is like a flashback to one of the stories that was in Amazing Fantasy 15. And the Neil Gaiman story also I thought was pretty good. I don't think Roddykat got to that. That was, I believe, at the end of the book.
Nope, sure didn't. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to finish the whole book. I think I got to I was pretty much at half of it. But the first few that I did read, I did enjoy Slott's one, and I think I got to Busiek's one, which was cool. Excuse me. Actually, hold on. There we go. And also, if you didn't hear, I said the writer of that first one was Anthony Falcone.
Oh, Falcone!
Yeah,
Roddykat's typo got to me.
That was a typo. Yeah. Yeah. While you were talking, I was changing that.
Anthony Falcone. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Anthony Falcone.
We got it right. It's all good. So yeah, for the most that I can say. So actually, I had a question for you because I don't remember if this was the case or not. Has Hickman written Spidey before now?
That is an excellent question. I do not think so, unless you count Otto Octavius Spidey during the Avengers run.
Right. Yeah. I meant outside of that, but yeah.
Right. Outside of that, like if we're talking strictly Peter Parker, then no.
Right.
But he has written some Spider-Man before.
Because I was curious about that one, and I was going to try to burn my way to get to that one because I don't think I've ever seen Hickman writing Spidey outside of that stuff. So it was a curiosity. Nevertheless, though, the only thing I would say is what I read was pretty good so far. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it. And yeah, a lot of the art choices were pretty good. There was, I think, I'm not gonna say one of them was kind of rough. One of them was kind of hard for me to get to because it seemed kind of busy. But it also could have been me having a headache at the time.
Was that the one where it was the with the blonde lady in the mental institution?
Yes.
Yeah, that one was a little tough, but then I understood where the story was going. It took a little while to get to kind of gain traction and for me to comprehend what was going on. That was a little tough. That was the Ho-Che Anderson story.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the last one that I was read. I hadn't finished that one, so that's kind of where I was.
Right. So that was Ho-Che Anderson with Giuseppe Camuncoli, and you could tell that it was Klaus Janson on inks because it was a little on the rougher side, but Klaus Janson has a very distinctive inking style. It's very, it emphasizes the blockiness of some characters, and his line structure is very sharp, but ultimately I understood and appreciated that story. You needed to get through some of the tough early parts to really get to that ending, and the ending I thought was really good. So, I hope that that you and all of our listeners and viewers give that story a chance and read it all the way through.
Oh yeah, plan to definitely. Yeah, like I said, I plan on going through all of these, or at least the rest of what I read. I was gonna say something about the Slott story because that one was quite interesting for a couple of different ways because it was basically him in his 60s or somewhere around about. And at first I was thinking, I was like, wait, who's this gray? Oh wait, never mind.
Yep.
I know Peter Well, that's not Aunt May, but she was looking good. I was like, okay, Aunt May's still looking in Peter's 60s. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? But then I was like, oh wait, no, never mind. I quickly caught who that was. But yeah, some good stuff. You should definitely check out if you are a fan of the Spider-Man that is Peter Parker. And with that, do you have another one, or do you think we got some?
No, I mean, I only have 2 books left. I'm okay with rapid firing these, unless you want to talk in depth about Iron Fist. Other than that, I can rapid fire.
Spin it up.
Spinning it up.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All right, so first up is Iron Fist number 5 of 5. So this is the last issue of this miniseries. It's written by Alyssa Wong, with art by Michael YG. Colors are by David Ramos, or is that Dadiv?
I think it's just David. J. David.
Oh, okay. So this is just a typo. J. David Ramos, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So ultimately, this issue does not exactly end on a great note for Lin Lee or Lin Lai. We're still not 100% sure how we're supposed to pronounce that. The former Swordmaster, although and possibly current Iron Fist, but now there's some question as to whether or not these two identities are sort of being melded together, and that seems to be the direction of the character. As I said earlier, the storyline involving Lin Lai and his brother is set to continue somewhere else. There is no finality in this issue. It is definitely a to be continued. So we have the former Iron Fist, Danny Rand, offering to mentor Lin Lee, and we have Lin Lee's brother, whose name escapes me, basically running rough. Well, he's essentially running things where he shouldn't be, and he basically takes advantage of something that he sort of planned on and expected as the result of, let's say, Lin Lee's newfound powers. And ultimately, that's where this story ends. We do, in fact, get a guest appearance by the character who's teased on the cover. So while that may not actually what's on the cover may not actually happen, that character who was teased does, in fact, make an appearance in the book. And it's likely that the story of this current Iron Fist is going to continue either in another miniseries, definitely in another one-shot that's teased at the end of this book. So we will see how this story continues. Right. Anything to add, Roddy?
So and I said before the show, or actually as I also said prior to this, both Agent 70 and I don't really care for this new Iron Fist. I think it's pretty much stands to reason, because there's a way better one that was in the wings, and we haven't seen her in a minute.
Yep.
So the fact that they have taken this Iron Fist, which, I mean, I will go ahead and say is an interesting direction for the Iron Fist, because they melded the Iron Fist with another, with the character's original, I don't want to say power set, because that's not necessarily right, but basically an implement that they used. So what they're going to do with that going forward, we shall see. I still don't think that the one shot that is necessary, that he's going to show up next in, is necessary, because it's pretty much tying into an event that we talked about previously, or that is ongoing right now, I should say. But hey, who's to say? You gotta put him in where you put him in, right? And yeah, I don't know if what Agent 70 said about this continuing in another miniseries is going to be the case or not. But I guess we'll see. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Right. All right. And next up for me, and last for me, is X-Force number 31. I don't have all of the credits on this. I know that this issue is written by Benjamin Percy for sure, because he has been the longtime writer on X-Force 31. I do not have the other credits for this issue, but I will say that if you are looking to stay up to date on AXE Judgment Day and looking to read any and all crossovers, this is another issue that you do not have to read. For whatever reason, they're using a pretty valid premise to involve Kraven the Hunter into Krakoan, into a Krakoan-based story, into a mutant-based story, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, I don't really care for Kraven's involvement in this. I know they're bringing in, they use it to involve Deadpool and Omega Red, and I appreciate some of that. But honestly, if I had a pull list and I had a physical pull list, I would have regretted buying this issue. Because that's how disappointed I am in where this is going. This would be, and I'm obviously having stopped my physical pull list, I'm adjusting to a life where the completist in me is still kind of struggling underneath the surface. I'm still probably going to continue to try to complete my run on the original run on Uncanny X-Men, but this would be a case where I decided to not buy, and not continue my run and just have a hole in my run on X-Force because I just wasn't happy with these few issues, these tie-in issues. Did you read this at all?
No, I skimmed like the first couple of pages before it went to the credits, and then I was like, I'll come back to this.
Okay. All right. So that's it for me for my books this week. Take it away, Roddykat.
So I can give the credits for you. So the writer is Benjamin Percy. The artist is Robert Gill. Color artist Guru EFX. Letterer Joe VC's Joe Caramagna.
Our favorite lettering paisan.
Yes. All right, folks. Let's see. That was X-Force. The rest of it later. Wonder Girl Annual number 2022 number 1 starts off for me. Excuse me. There we go. Written by Joel Jones and Douglas Marquise. Art by Emmy Lopez and Sweeney Boo and Ben Dewey. Pencils and inks by Adriana Mello. Colors by Jody Belair and letters by Pat Brousseau. So there's a couple of different little mini tales that was all kind of wrapped up in a row. The very first one was interesting to me because it is surrounding Yara's steed / partner, I guess you could say, Jerry, the Pegasus, and then it goes into a story. It basically pretty much goes into the rest of the story where Yara and the rest of the Esquicitas are fighting this person who I guess they had missed about, and I guess it's been so long, but this person has shown up in a previous issue of Wonder Girl. The third issue specifically, but I vaguely remember because it was so long ago since for that issue. But basically, it seemed like it was a rematch with this person, with Yara and the Esquicitas, that obviously ends up going favorably at the end. And of course, protect JC, which is the littlest Esquicita. She's very cute. G.I. Joe 297. I only mentioned this because it is the last issue under the IDW banner. Interestingly enough, I have not been keeping up with G.I. Joe since it's been back, since it's taken up from the Marvel stuff. Where this whole thing takes off, and there's been a whole lot of significant changes in the roster and whatnot. The Snake Eyes has died and has been replaced with a couple of them, which there's been some new people I think on both sides to join the fray. In this issue, which was written by Larry Hama, art by Andrew Lee Griffith. Where did all these typos come from? And Netho Diaz, inks by Andrew Lee Griffith and Maria Keene, and C.J. Brown. Excuse me, and colors by J. Brown. Sorry, and letters by Neo Uyatake. Basically, there was a land stand in Vegas. Dr. Mindbender, who apparently could not get enough of animating Serpentor, decides to reanimate Genghis Khan. And apparently he must have been doing some other heroes and villains during this last bit of the run. And Cobra owned a casino. So there's all of that coming about. The Joes were pinned down and on the run with this. And apparently it was down to the two Snake Eyes to kind of cover the folks' escape. And the funny part about this is it ends in a cliffhanger. So you would have thought that, okay, this is the last issue on IDW. Maybe they was gonna tie it up and just end it in a place so that whoever or wherever it ends up later on can do whatever they're gonna do. Judging by the fact that it ends on a cliffhanger, sounds like Larry Hama is probably going wherever the license is going to take it and finish up wherever that lands. Which I don't think we still know where that is at this point. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like we've gotten a rumor on it, but I don't. Even if we did, couldn't really say whether.
Right, I think we do have a rumor on it through some inside sources.
Yeah,
but we're not going to speak on that because we were told in confidence.
Exactly, and I don't remember what it was anyway at this point. But regardless, when it comes confirmed, or whenever it comes confirmed, we will definitely let you folks know. So yeah, so that was interesting for the fact that it was like it ended in a cliffhanger, and like I said, the fact that I didn't know what was going on was kind of one thing, but I just was curious about how they were going to end this run. Next up for me is Ant-Man number 2. That's the wrong one. There we go. Written by Al Ewing, art by Tom Riley, colors by Jody Belair, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So we get caught up with, as I'm just reading directly from my notes with this, we get caught up with Eric O'Grady, the worst Ant-Man. And this is saying something, given that Hank Pym has slapped around women. So I'm just saying. But Eric O'Grady was the worst. I vaguely remember Irredeemable Ant-Man, and luckily they did do some kind of, catching up for folks at the start of this thing. What I did not realize was that, or didn't remember, because like I said, I think I probably read some Irredeemable, but don't remember. This was a Robert Kirkman joint of Irredeemable Ant-Man, and it makes sense because Eric Grady, not great, and Kirkman kind of does some not great people, some good not great people. Let's just say, even if they are good, supposedly they're good guys, but and this is also being set because of the whole crux. The main story is there's this future Ant-Man who's going around recruiting past Ant-Mans because there's some threat in the future that we still don't know anything about. In this particular case, the future Ant-Man kind of does meet up with Eric O'Grady. And what does Eric O'Grady do is want to know the future. But obviously, the future Ant-Man didn't really tell him that. But he did tell him how Lost ended. So, because that's the kind of stupid stuff Eric O'Grady kind of wanted. So that part was kind of funny, and some other little tidbits that Eric O'Grady wanted to know that you could read for yourself. This is also apparently taking place around, or this issue is taking place around Secret Empire, because there's also a big part of, and I don't remember if this was a part of Irredeemable Ant-Man or not, but there was the Skrull Hank Pym who was running around at the time, who was involved, who in this particular issue was involved for a hot second because of some tech that they thought Eric O'Grady knew about, but apparently that wasn't the case. nevertheless, at the end of it all, Edgar Grady still ends up getting recruited by this future Ant-Man, and we still don't know what's going on with that. But I'm sure we'll find out next issue or so. The Variants #3 is my next book. Written by Gail Simone, art by Phil Noto, letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So this is, I guess, as they say, the meeting of the Jessicas. Jessica Jones Prime, or 616 Jessica, meets up with these other versions of herself in this issue, or finally sits down and talks to, I should say, because she's met some during the course of the last couple of issues and even fought a couple of them. But now she's pretty much sitting down and talking with them because this other looming threat is out there, and she thinks that she is part of that said looming threat, which has something to do with a person from her past. And if you know anything about Jessica Jones comics, in the comics, you know who that person is. In fact, that person has shown up in the Netflix version of Jessica Jones. So even if you kind of don't know that, you can kind of infer one way or another. But that person may or may not be involved. Who's to say? But there is definitely a looming threat that kind of goes after Luke and is also going after her daughter, Danny. But we'll see what happens with that going forward. Thunderbolts #1. I don't know if Agent 70 plans on reading this or not.
I plan on getting to it. It just wasn't. I didn't have access to it when I was reading.
Right. So I won't go too far into it, but it's written by Jim Zub, art by Sean Isaacs, colors by Hava Tartaglia, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So basically, well, Kliq gets the band back together in a way, but it's thanks to the direction of one Mayor Luke Cage. And yes, this is kind of dealing with, which I didn't know about because I didn't read Devil's Reign, because apparently there was a group of Thunderbolts that was running around under Wilson Fisk's rule.
Right.
And so to kind of clean up the image of the Thunderbirds, which both Luke and Clint have had dealings with.
Thunderbolts, not Thunderbirds. I know it's easy. It's an easy crossover to say. Yeah.
Yes, Thunderbirds are go, Thunderbolts, just as like lightning. Which I guess that's a new slogan. I don't remember that. No, that's been there, but I don't think they ever outright said it.
No, I was about to say from Jump it was just as like lightning.
Right. Yeah, but I don't remember if they actually ever said it. But nevertheless, so Luke wants to basically clean up the image of the Thunderbolts by having them as the main team in New York, because apparently Wilson Fisk had outlawed superheroes. Because there was a part in here that was like, no, the Avengers are not allowed to be in New York anymore. I was like, when was that happen? And then of course they later on said Devil's Reign. So, which again I had not read. There's another side to this, because the first outing of the team doesn't go full well, but they get the job done. And the last member of the team, one Monica Rambeau, aka Spectrum, comes in near the end of this. And importantly, well, there's a couple other things that is going on. One having to do with the fact that Luke didn't want Clint to run the team. He wanted Monica, which that's kind of cold, but also I get it. And then one of the team members, who is, I'm going to call him Bootleg Cable for the time being, but has a secret. If you're looking at if you're on the video version of this, you can kind of see the makeup of the team. Only one of them hasn't shown up yet. You got Clint Barton Hawkeye, you got America Chavez, you got Power Man, not Luke Cage, the other Power Man, the younger one. Like I said, you got this Bootleg Cable guy whose name is Guts and Glory. You got the Purple Man's daughter, which, like I said, coming off of that last book that I was just talking about, is kind of amusing. The only one that hasn't shown up is this little alien creature that's at the bottom of the thing, but that thing is coming next up.
Right. Yeah. The Purple Man played the Purple Man and like kind of like the long running story of the Purple Man and his children in the Daredevil books kind of came to a head in Devil's Reign.
Oh, okay. Wait, he didn't have two? Or he just had the one? I guess I thought he had two kids.
Oh, I don't want to spoil Devil's Reign, but he had more than that.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. like I said, I keep saying I'm gonna go back and read Devil's Reign at some of these points. So one of these as I get to it. So basically, this Thunderbolts book is kind of coming out of this.
Right. And that character has a secret, but
I ain't one of the gospel, so you ain't heard that from me.
Wait, the Purple Man daughter or the one that the bootleg cable?
no, that bootleg cable.
Yeah, the bootleg cable has a secret, which I feel like I know what it is. That might have called back to something at the beginning of the book, but I don't think that would be. I don't remember this character having that capability. Let's just say. So we'll find out whatever that secret is at some point in this book. Let's see. Next up, though, Gambit number 2. Yo, bing. And I'll just read from my notes. Written by Chris Claremont and art by Sid Koshian. Color artist Espen Grendigen. Letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So basically, a car accident finds Aurora near death and still training in a hyperbolic time chamber, which Agent 70 can appreciate that reference now. While Gambit is basically him helping this mom and daughter with a land dispute, let's just say. But the mom and the daughter are quite capable of themselves. The mom's an Army doc, and the daughter is a former Marine. So, having Gambit kind of helping them out is only just giving them a nice little hand. But yeah, there's these people trying to scoop up folks' lands, and they're holding out. It's kind of that whole situation. There is a villain that shows up that, and during the course of this issue, that I don't know about, but looks like a thinner Colossus. He threw a truck at him, so he's pretty strong. But I have no idea who this person is, and they didn't name him. So go figure on that one. But yeah, it was a fun read. Like I said, the whole training thing with Aurora while she was near death is interesting, and I suppose that's going to go back into something that's Claremont has already did in the X books during that time, but I don't remember that time all that swiftly to say one way or the other. Either way, fun read, and that's it, folks, for me. Kliqs of the week.
Alrighty, here they come. Kliqs of the week.
Dirt said, which I don't think Tim got to one, but Dirt said his Kliq was, which I thought I put it down here, Flash Annual 2022 number 1. I don't think he said anything else about it, just that that's it, because it was a light week
cool
for everybody. So, I did put it down there. What happened?
Cool. All right, do you have yours? Because I know I have mine.
Go for it.
Oh, mine is most definitely Amazing Fantasy number 1000. Now we have access to our review books, and I look forward to actually rereading this book. I may actually go and pick up a physical copy of this book. I don't know, the cover price I presume is going to be on the expensive side because it is probably extra sized.
I believe it's $7.99 if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay, so it's not $10.99.
Right.
The $10.99, the $9.99 books always bother me, but I think I'm actually going to pick this up because I really like some of the stories in this.
I might be off, but I feel like when I was pulling covers, that might have been the case.
Right. I mean, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to check it out now and confirm. Right. But you go ahead and give your pick.
So for myself, it was a toss up between X-Men number 14 and that Wonder Girl annual was all right, but between X-Men and probably Thunderbolts. Was kind of, this is an interesting makeup of the team for the Thunderbolts, and they go into why said makeup of the team is kind of like that. There is even a couple of throwbacks to past versions or references to past versions of the Wackos, of the West Coast Adventures in the beginning, which was kind of amusing. That kind of kicks this all off. But I think I am going to go with X-Men number 14.
Yeah, I figured. You said that earlier, so.
Yeah.
Figured you'd go with that. Yeah, you are correct. This Amazing Fantasy number 1000 is in fact $7.99. So I look forward to picking this up because I really enjoyed some of these stories in it.
Gotcha. And with that, folks, we are going to go into the news, but first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Wink. It's your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news, as we tend to do at about this time. HBO and Cartoon Network cancels another animated project. Actually, we kind of talked about this last week, so I guess we can go ahead and skip this one. Because, yeah, I mentioned at the end of it that this show called Driftwood, which is one of the shows that got axed along with the that whole slew of stuff, got canceled. So we can push on to the next story.
All right. So apparently, Adult Swim's Toonami is safe from Warner Brothers Discovery restructuring. So apparently, there's no desire to change Adult Swim's popular anime programming block, Toonami, despite recent content cuts. So this is according to Game Rant. Warner Brothers Discovery has confirmed that Toonami will be safe from the content cuts, with no current plans from the company to change or cut Adult Swim's popular weekend anime block. Representatives told Game Rant that Warner Brothers Discovery has no desire to change the programming block and confirmed that the company will continue to move forward with Toonami's original anime projects, which will start in October with Housing Complex C, a horror anime miniseries. Okay, I'm one of these people that like never bothered with Toonami, really. You know, like I didn't jump into anime until I jumped right into getting a Funimation subscription,
Right.
and watching stuff on Hulu.
Right.
So once I had access to that, I kind of bypassed the whole Toonami thing.
Yeah, I mean, Toonami was a lot of people's first entry into anime because they were showing anime late at night and some, because it was a mix of anime and some other stuff. But it
Right.
definitely pivoted more into the anime stuff later in the cycle. But yeah, that would have been stupid upon stupid if they had done something with Toonami and Adult Swim. Well, I mean, they could be still doing something with Adult Swim, just to Toonami's off the block. So. But like I said, they've been doing no shortage of stupid things. I'm just glad this one was safe for the time being. Batman Cape Crusader, by the way, isn't dead, is reportedly drawing interest from Apple, Hulu, and Netflix. So that was the Bruce Timm, Matt Reeves, and J.J. Abrams animated series that we talked about getting the axe last week. So apparently it's still going to be out there, kind of shopping around to find a new home, thanks to the shenanigans going on at WB Discovery, or whichever way it goes, I don't care. So that's some decent news, so that the fact that that's still, it didn't die. Well, it's not completely dead, that it's still kind of out there. And
Right, it's being shopped around.
Right, could find a new home. Which I'm
So
sure
just like
it will.
Mama told me, you better shop around. But in all seriousness, I'm mildly surprised that Kevin Feige is not on this list, saying, "Hey, we can bring this over to Disney Plus."
So there was actually, and I think it was someone joking. I feel like I did see something on Twitter. It was like, yeah, Feige's probably going to go after this, as Feige's on the phone ringing up Bruce Timm as we speak, but I don't see why I don't think that would ever happen. It would be nice.
It would be hysterical.
That would be some funny shit. But yeah,
Yep.
that wouldn't happen. Let's face it. Even if it's just a distinguished
Hysterical.
competition. But yeah, next
up, Harley Quinn, the animated series, has been renewed for season 4 at HBO Max. Sarah Peters is set to take over as the showrunner of the animated series. So the season 3 finale for this series is about to air in about 2 weeks on September 15th. And so ultimately, this is good news for fans of this show.
Have you watched any of this?
No.
Yeah, neither have I. One of these days.
At some point, I will. I mean, I'm still in the middle of binging Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. You know, and I just, you know, and I told you, I did I tell you I just recently finished watching Battlestar Galactica?
You said you were about finished last time we talked about it.
Yeah, exactly. I just finished it this week. Okay. What a crazy time loopy ending.
I told you. It goes
crazy time loopy ending. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I watched this whole thing for that?
Yeah. It's almost like watching Lost. Not that I watched the end of Lost, but I know people.
Right, and it was. I'm sorry for the Battlestar Galactica detour here, folks. I just wanted to say that it was recommended to me, and one of the things that was brought up to me was that there are some obvious religious overtones throughout the entirety of the series, and that obviously played out even to the end, all the way to the end.
Like, it started out as such a great show, and then it just kind of did what it did.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it was a bad show overall. I just thought, like, you know, where it ended up, I was just kind of like, really? So, okay, you know what? I'd still recommend it to someone if you're comfortable with like some sci-fi stuff, and obviously with some of the real world and you know, like analogies that they were making, you know, especially it's kind of a product of its time because it is of the early aughts, you know, the early and mid aughts, let's say.
Right.
Definitely like the late aughts, you know, like you know, as America's dealing with the latter stages of the Iraq War and Afghanistan. So I think it's a product of its time, but at the same time, there's some definite religious overtones that, you know, people have to be comfortable dealing with and wrestling with. And as I said, there's some crazy time loopy stuff at the end. But in any event, that is just a quick detour into my experience with what I'm binge watching as a result of, you know, not really giving this Harley Quinn show a chance. I know people like it. I just haven't given it a chance yet. You know, I've had other things on my menu to watch.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will circle back to some of that in a few. But Kevin Feige was the one who decided how Captain America lost his virginity. So yeah, that was the thing in the first episode that Jen Walters was very fixated on, and we talked about how Jessica Gao, the showrunner, you know, kind of broached that subject, I guess, and now we come to find out that from Jessica Gao that Kevin Feige had a say in the backstory. It says, quote, Kevin was really into that joke, and he actually was the one who volunteered the answer to that question. Gao shared with IO9 via Hollywood Reporter. I couldn't believe that we got to definitively settle that issue once and for all. I know there are some people who really don't care for that as a thing or not, but, you know, it says here, our philosophy was really just like, let's just do things until they tell us that we can't. If you start asking for permission too much, then you're giving people a chance to say no, which, sure, true. So, yeah. Oh, it says also here, interestingly enough, the idea of Cap hooking up with someone on the USO tour came up when Chris Evans was talking to Vanity Fair in 2014, apparently. So, it came from somewhere. Next up.
That's so funny. All right. So the official Twitter account for She-Hulk Attorney at Law shares some of the haikus Tim Roth's Emil Blonsky wrote while he was stuck in a jail cell. So I guess you have to go to the She-Hulk official Twitter account and you'll see some of these haikus.
Yeah, some of this is on. Actually, I think it looks like all of them are on this article also. So you don't even have to go that far if you don't if you choose not to. But yeah, there it is out there. Next up, though, why Miss Marvel's new powers were made purple. That has been revealed. So basically, according to this article, one of the VFX workers say that they were colored purple just to set her apart from the rest. Because it's the quote here is, I think it's a little bit difficult in this day and age with the number of heroes there are to have something unique, according to Digital Domain's Dave Cunningham. And I think you've got Captain Marvel's sort of orange, Scarlet Witch's got red, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess it was just to set it off. So it wasn't like a hey, you got this lightsaber in purple type situation that Samuel L. Jackson did. Also, I'm pretty sure we have had some other folks' powers set off as purple tinge. I believe Agatha Harkness's was, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not necessarily that unique, but nevertheless, sure. Some people are putting things together like that and say, oh, these powers are because they're tinted red or this and that, they're all from this stone, this, that, and da, da, da. So there's a lot of that was going on, and it sounds like here's why that was that. Next up.
All right, Alaqua Cox, the star of Echo, the eponymous the eponymous character in the show, confirmed through social media posts that she made that filming has completed on the upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe series. Echo first appeared in last year's Hawkeye on Disney Plus, and Alaqua Cox put a story on her Instagram which included memorial images of her father and text saying filming had wrapped. The series centers on Maya Lopez, a young deaf martial artist, reconnecting with her Native American roots and discovering more about herself and her family. Shooting for Echo initially began in May 2022. Okay.
Probably will not get the Phoenix Force from this show, but stranger things have happened. Iron Man 3's Ben Kingsley to reprise his Marvel role in Wonder Man series, folks. So we made a joke last week about Trevor Slattery showing up somewhere, and guess what ends up happening? Actually, I can't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about something else that Trevor Slattery was going to show up in, just offhandedly. But apparently, he's going to be in the Wonder Man show. So go figure. We didn't know anything about that.
Hollywood's always up to no good.
I know, right? So Destin Daniel Cretton, who of course directed and co-wrote Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings, will serve as an executive producer and co-creator on the Wonder Man series, which we already know. Kingsley Slattery was most recently seen in Shang-Chi, of course, and according to Variety, it seems that Kingsley's Slattery will play a major role in the Wonder Man series, although exactly what role is unknown. Obviously, we know Trevor Slattery being an actor, and Wonder Man in the comics ended up going from a stuntman to a leading man at various points of his superhero career. We can we can speculate that this is pretty much the direction that this Wonder Man show is probably going to go into. If not to already start there. Who knows? They might change his origin. They'll be like, hey, he was already a low-level stuntman, and now he's got powers or something. Because in the comics, he was a businessman who ended up being powers and going up against the Avengers and dying and coming back as a hero.
Right. They may cut that out, but we'll see how they adapt it.
Exactly. So, Trevor Slattery is not going nowhere, folks. Next up.
All right, next up. So this includes spoilers for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. If you are a fan of this show and somehow have not yet seen this movie, what's wrong with you? No, seriously, what's wrong with you? What are you waiting for? But I'm going to say that this does involve some spoilers for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Writer Michael Waldron acknowledges that he actually wrote a stinger scene, kind of a pie-in-the-sky stinger scene, for one Reed Richards, who does make a cameo appearance in that movie. So that's an interesting little tidbit of news coming straight from the Empire magazine, or Empire Online.
So they put some of that stuff on Disney Plus, but I don't know if they put all of those because I know they saved some stuff for the actual physical.
Right. I don't think they ever filmed it. I think that was just something that he proposed and it never went through.
Right. But I mean, yeah, you're right. But I'm just saying, just in general, like some of that stuff that they hold off for the physical stuff. They only put certain stuff on. So even if they had been filmed, there was no guarantee we was going to get it on Disney Plus as opposed to the physical.
Yep, you are correct.
Now we're going over into the anime corner. I still haven't seen this yet, but nevertheless, Dragon Ball Superhero teases Broly's return to action. Actually,
whoa! What did we just? Did we skip a whole bunch of these?
Wait, did we?
I was wondering. I was like, why are we going to anime corner so early?
Oh shoot, we did, didn't we? Oh fudge, I did that because I was still doing the thing. So I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna continue in anime corner, and then circle back around.
No worries.
Yeah. So yeah, Dragon Ball Superhero teases Broly's return to action. So yeah, apparently Broly shows up in Dragon Ball Superhero after.
Yes, he does.
Oh, so that's right, you did see. I forgot about that. And actually, I'm gonna take this next one because it is slightly related. Because Dragon Ball Superhero topples Broly's record at the U.S. box office, which was the previous movie in the Dragon Ball series. So the latest box office report confirms that Dragon Ball Superhero has grossed 30.76 million USDs at this point, or at least at the point of this article, because I'm pretty sure it's still making some numbers. It looks like Broly had fallen to 6th place with its 30.71 million lifetime gross, which had it in 5th place previously. So that's still a lot of money. Still pretty good. Next up.
Okay, so this is for the people who watch Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super and Superhero in dub form. The voice of Gohan explains how Superhero is a return to form for the Gohan character. So in talking with the dub voice of Gohan, Kyle Herbert, you can hear the contempt in my voice when I say that, when it comes to his return to the role, as well as how the new movie is a quote return to form for the character. I'm not going to spoil the movie. The movie's still relatively new. I want to give people a chance to watch it, but this, all the stuff that we talked about, how this movie is in fact a spotlight on both Piccolo and Gohan, is in fact very true. They are basically the front. They are basically the front and center of the characters in the story.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch this. But then again, I still have to catch up on Super in general, so it's
right.
Be a second.
Seriously, the voice of Gohan is the voice of Goku in every form. It's Masako Nozawa. So I don't know any of these people who speak in English. So
I implore you to at the very least watch an episode of the dub with especially Frieza's voice dub. It's just once, just say you have, because you can pretty much get mostly everybody's voice from that, but you got to hear Frieza's voice. Anyway, Spy X Family Cour 2, and I keep wanting to say Core, announces premiere date with new artwork. So, the exact date of Spy X Family's highly anticipated return has been revealed, and that date is October 1st, ladies and gentlemen. So
which is not far away. It's a month away now, folks.
Exactly. The announcement was accompanied by a brand new key visual that showcases the adorable Anya using her fingers to make the number 2. That's probably a peace sign, folks, but while surrounded by her smiling family, smiling parents, and other fan favorite characters. While the confirmation is undoubtedly exciting for Spy X Family fans, the reveal isn't the end of the new news for the series. Recently, it was announced that the new Spy X Family content, or Spy Family, depending on how you feel like playing it, just don't come at me because I don't care, will be posted to the official Twitter account each day until the end of August, which we are at. So we have pretty much gotten that all we were going to get until next month's premiere. Next up.
So, Odd Taxi has followed up its cult hit debut anime season with a new feature film fleshing out the events of the series, and now fans outside of Japan will be able to check it out as Crunchyroll has revealed when Odd Taxi in the Woods will be available for streaming with the service. Odd Taxi premiered last year and built up a huge cult following. So let's see. In the Woods picks up from a big cliffhanger at the end of that first season of the series, or that first series. And so we're going to be able to access on September 8th the movie on Crunchyroll.
I loved Odd Taxi. It took a weird... it was already weird and crazy. It seemed like it started off slow, and it kind of did. But it even if it didn't take the turn it did near the end, it was still good for what it was. And I would say that anime fans should watch it. And I don't really make blanket statements like that, because everything is not for everybody. But this one was something to behold. So, let's see. We're going to circle back around and get to the news that we missed before going into the. Actually, let's just do this. With the anime, with the manga stuff, and then we'll circle back around to the other stuff.
Okay, so we're going to transition over into manga.
So yeah, speaking of Spy Times Family or Spy Family, the manga's tops 25 million copies in circulation. Manga editor Shihei Lin announced on Twitter that Tatsuya Edo's Spy Family manga has surpassed 25 million copies in circulation. Not copies sold. They make that clear in this article, which is a difference. So, but there's a lot of copies out there, and it's still being sold. So regardless, hey, it's still out there in good numbers, and people are buying it. Next up, yeah, you can go do this.
Dang it! All right, so I don't want to talk too much about this story because I am behind now. This is from the latest chapter of My Hero Academia, which was published in Shonen Jump last week. So basically, the story is starting out a new phase in the final war between the heroes and villains and Shigaraki, and things have been changing so much, and apparently there's been a change in the goals of All for One. So I'm not going to go too far into it, but at the end of the day, if you're keeping up with this, like I've been trying to, it is definitely rushing towards some sort of finality. It feels like it's rushing toward it because these chapters are so short, but they don't always come out on a weekly basis. So, if you miss out, you have to kind of circle back and check it out. But I would definitely recommend it if you have tried out My Hero and you like the anime, to actually circle back and read the manga. I think it's a pretty well done series, and I think the adaptation to the anime is well done as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you will find not too many people that are not doing one and not the other. Like I would probably be one of those people, but who's to say? I might change that up. I don't know once I get around to it. But speaking of circling back around, we're gonna circle back to some cinematic news that we missed, starting with D23 teases big Star Wars Marvel announcements in an official poster. So, excuse me, Disney dropped an official poster for its annual D23 event, spotlighting many beloved films, characters, and franchises. By the way, by the time we record next week, Disney Plus Day will be upon us. In fact, we will be recording on Disney Plus Day. So
the first day of it, right? Because I think it's like Disney Plus Day is one day, but D23 is the whole weekend.
Correct.
Right.
So there may be something from Disney Plus Day that we'll have to talk about next week. But definitely a lot of stuff that we have previously talked about that was going to premiere on Disney Plus Day is going to happen. But going back to this, if you're watching the video version, you can see the poster in question. There's some Star Wars references. There's some Disney stuff. There's some Marvel stuff. It's a nice looking poster. There's even Oswald the rabbit is in there, and some other stuff which you can see for yourself in the article or the video version. So, but there's a lot of seemingly clues of things that may be announced or talked about at D23, which is coming soon. I know I can't remember the date actually, and it doesn't say here. So, nevertheless, it's coming soon. But we'll talk about it. I think it's at the end of this month, but I can't remember. Next up.
So Godzilla's MonsterVerse TV series has shared its first image. So since Godzilla vs. Kong premiered, we haven't seen too much of Godzilla or Kong, but we have heard news that they are underway in filming the next sequel to that. In addition, Apple TV Plus is developing its own live-action MonsterVerse show, and a first look at the project just went live. So in an update that comes from social media from that MonsterVerse show on Apple TV Plus, you can see a set photo that was published that shows old school tech and photos on a desk, but the real story comes courtesy of a Monarch bag. So it's a worn satchel that's shown atop the desk and is printed with the Monarch symbol on the side. It looks like the bag has seen some things and there's no telling what might be inside. Given the photos on this desk, we can assume there is top secret information about the kaiju in the bag. So Godzilla, we'll see how all that plays out.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that part of those movies. Like, yeah, Monarch is pretty much, I was about to say the Roxanne of that universe, but that's not entirely true. But basically, they have things going on in that universe that they've kind of picked at, but not really gone that I remember too far into.
Right. It's kind of like the early MCU version of S.H.I.E.L.D., where that was the that was the unifying force between all the movies.
Right.
So that seems to be that unifying connection between the King Kong and the Godzilla movies, the Monarch connection.
Right. Let them fight. Let's see. Last in the cinematic news, Orphan Black spinoff casts Keely Hawes as Christian Ritter's co-star. So, let's see. According to the deadline, Hawes will play a scientist who will struggle against her own moral code as she's forced to make an impossible decision. No other details regarding her character were provided, but she will appear in this series alongside Christian Ritter and other previously announced cast members Amanda Fix and Avon Jogia. So, for those that don't know, that's the Orphan Black prequel, I guess, that AMC is doing. So, if you're a fan of Orphan Black, I'm sure you'll probably check it out, I guess. Next up, we're going into the comic book news.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Ziggy Pig and Silly Seal return to claim the spotlight by any means necessary. Are they really quoting Brother Malcolm? The irreverent duo star in new Infinity Comics series Ziggy Pig and Silly Seal. And in an interview on Marvel.com, Frank Thierry talked about what readers can expect. But this is a Marvel Unlimited Infinity comic. So if you aren't, you should be. It is a great resource. You should look into Marvel Unlimited because we use it as a great tool.
Is that Throg on? I assume that's the Letterman. I mean, that's supposed to be Kimmel on this thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just like a bootleg Porky Pig. If you're not watching the video version, that's who this Ziggy Pig is. Because I don't think I've ever heard of this character before. And this other cat looks like it's trying to do a Muttley impression on this kitty litter thing. So go figure. Anywho, actually, I'm gonna break some news real quick so I don't have to talk about next week. So we'll get to that in a minute. Star Wars brings back its evil R2-D2 and C-3PO, and that is a spoiler from last week's Star Wars Dr. Aphra number 23. I love those two droids, and so I'm going to have to definitely check this out. So BT-1 and 000 are now back in the pages of Dr. Aphra for whatever odd reason, because I have no idea what's going on in that book, because I lost a thread on it a while back. But at some point, I'll catch up. Next up.
So this is an article that has, I guess, a tease of what might happen. I don't know if this has happened already or if it's something that might happen in a tie-in. Iron Man is set to fight his own cursed armor in a Judgment Day tie-in. So I don't know what book this might happen in.
This is
AXE Avengers #1. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess Iron Man is set to fight a set of his cursed set of his armor in that book, and Kieran Gillen is set to write that, and it's $4.99, and I'm looking for a release date on sale at the end of September. So at the end of this month, September 28th.
Yeah, there's also some preview pages for that book if you are so inclined in the article, which we won't go over here. Alex Ross debuts dramatically different art style for Fantastic Four graphic novel, which I believe came out. Well, I saw it. The cover for it this week, but apparently
it came out this week.
Okay,
I don't think we have access to it, but I think it did come out this week.
Right. So it says it's publishing on September 6th at this article, but and I saw it. Out there for today. So,
right. I think in the direct market, I think it came out today. So maybe we'll have access to it next week. We'll see.
Yeah. As reported exclusively by The Hollywood Reporter, Fantastic Four Full Circle is the first graphic novel Ross has written and illustrated. The story takes place shortly after 1961's Fantastic Four #51 by Jack Lee and by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and sees Marvel's first family grapple with a threat that takes them into the negative zone after an intruder invades the Blackster building. And apparently it's a typo because it's building, not builder. So Ross said he deliberately changed his new unique, iconic art style to match Kirby's work for the novel. Quote, I wanted to present a version of the Fantastic Four as close to a Jack Kirby style he envisaged for the series as he created the characters, he explained. His style informed the first 10 years of their existence and is the shadow all artists have been working under these last 60 years. Unquote. So yeah. If we ever get our hands on that graphic novel, we'll let you know what's the deal with it. I'm sure one of us will read it. Next up, though.
Right. So in a spoiler for this week's Amazing Fantasy number 1000, Marvel just introduced its own version of Batman Scarecrow. So this is part of one of the stories in Amazing Fantasy number 1000 that introduces a villain. It's kind of on the lamer side, I have to admit, but the villain's name is Conspiraton, and ultimately, Conspiraton finds a way to spread hallucinogens into the populace, and Spider-Man has to fight against it. So that is where the tie-in or the crossover relation would be seen with Batman's Scarecrow character.
I do remember reading that one, and it was kind of amusing, and yeah, that the villain, quote unquote, was kind of lame, but still was a pretty amusing story. Now we're getting over to Toy Corner. Iron Man's Mark 7 armor opens up as a high-end Hot Toys figure, and apparently, literally opens up, or more accurately, actually opens up. Stop using literally when you mean actually. God dog it. Jesus. You know how to use English. Anyway, Hot Toys Inside shows Iron Man Mark 7 open armor collectible is inspired by a scene from 2013's Iron Man 3, wherein, while meeting young fans with Don Cheadle's Roddy, Tony Stark steps into his Mark 7 suit to run a diagnostic on himself, only to realize that he's having an anxiety attack spurred by his near-death experience in 2012's The Avengers. The 6-scale collectible features highly detailed die-cast armor with adjustable and articulated pieces for a variety of posing options. We'll just cut to the price. It's a Hot Toys joint, so you know it's expensive. $365. The pre-order is available on Sideshow and is expected to ship between October 2023 and March 2024. So you could just marvel at it, no pun intended, at the pictures of it, like I will be doing, because I will not be buying this. Next up.
So Marvel is expanding its foray into the tabletop role-playing game arena because they're stepping into the arena, Cheetah, So
Nice.
with the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game Core Rulebook and the Cataclysm of Kang Adventure book. So I think now that they've done the beta testing, this is the new official Core Rulebook. Is that correct?
There's still,
Or is that a different game?
No, it's the same game. They're still beta testing. I think they're not going to. It's not going to release officially until next year. So they're still doing.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still doing the beta.
Right. I see that in the article.
Right.
But I wanted to because I know that you bought a copy of the beta testing book, so that's why I wanted to find out what the story was with the beta testing. So basically, the Core Rulebook includes dozens of Marvel character profiles and everything players need to understand Marvel Multiverse's D616 rule system. Marvel revealed that this Core Rulebook is set to release in June 2023, so it's another 9 months away, basically. And it will be closely followed by the Cataclysm of Kang a month later in July. So in addition to even more character profiles, the Cataclysm of Kang will also feature 6 interlocking adventures that take players, that is, from the streets of the Marvel Universe into a cosmic level event. Profiles of popular characters such as Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Wolverine, and more than one Spider-Man have already been announced as part of this first wave. Interesting. So nice to see that they've announced when the final rules will be published, but beta testing is still going on. So if you're interested in contributing to that, I think you should check out that beta testing rulebook.
Yeah, it's been an interesting read. I haven't finished reading it because obviously the other things have come, but I have seen some of the profiles, and there is a starter story that they have you kind of like, hey, you want something to start off with before making your own stuff, have at it. But excuse me. But the Cataclysm of Kang is definitely a new module that's coming out after. And I believe they did set it for June 20. It's been June 2023 this whole time, so I don't think I don't remember that being changes from what the original release of the official rules for it. So stay tuned. We'll definitely be talking about it closer to the time. Disney will launch a new card game to go up against Magic the Gathering and Pokemans. So, okay, you can please close that. Thank you. Let's see. So the company Ravensburger says that it wants to take it to the next level. They already have Disney Villainous, which I'm sure board game aficionados already know about. And it's a line of add-ons to that. So basically, this is a collectible card game with a modern storybook art style, according to someone with the company. And it mixes both traditional hand-drawn qualities seen in fairy tale storybooks and new digital techniques. The game will also include all the flourishes that fans of collectible cards have come to expect from top of the line releases. Any idea of... Fans will get a first look at the cards themselves during D23 Expo in Anaheim, California, which kicks off September 9th. I knew, okay, so yeah, next week after Disney Plus Day, which makes sense. So, week after that, I'm sure I will be talking about whatever comes out of that with this and other things. Next up.
So McFarlane Toys is bringing out an upcoming action figure which celebrates the 30th anniversary of Batman the Animated Series with a striking design that lets fans recreate the lightning strike from the iconic intro of the TV show. The 9-inch figure features Batman in the classic blue, gray, and yellow costume that Bruce Timm popularized in the cartoon, and it is part of the McFarlane Toys limited edition gold label collection. The figure is available for exclusive pre-order at Target, that is Target, for toys are way too expensive here, folks. $49.99 with a release expected later this year. An edition of the figure featuring a signature from Bruce Timm is also available for $79.99. Yikes.
Or you can just get the base thing and hopefully you run up on him at a con and whatever he charges there, if he charges anything for
signatures, right? You hope that he's at a con. Maybe he's not a big con goer, but ultimately, I mean, this is a cool figure, and it comes with a base, but $49.99 just for the figure and this base. I know that with plastic and being a product of oil and all that stuff being expensive, toys have gotten way too expensive, folks. It's just getting to be a bit much.
Just a bit. But there's people who are out there for. I'm not gonna sit here and say that that I wouldn't be interested in getting this, but nah.
No, I mean, but at the end of the day, and this is me going on a bit of a tangent, I feel like I got out of Marvel Legends. I'm still gonna get the ones that I really, really want, but I feel like I got out of like bulk purchasing of Marvel Legends at the right time before the price hike. That's just my 2 cents.
Sure, tell them what you want, what you really, really want. McFarlane Toys celebrates.
I'm like, seriously, did Roddykat just quote the Spice Girls?
He surely did. McFarlane Toys celebrates Batman 66 with an unbelievable vintage lunchbox 4-pack. So the Batman Classic TV series lunchbox features 4 figures: Batman, Robin, Joker, and the Penguin, all packaged inside a metal case. The figures come equipped with colorful word bubbles resembling the dramatic sound effects that splash across the screen whenever the dynamic duo will wallop their opponents in a fight, a much-loved tradition of the 66 television series. 4 collectible cards are also included, showing close-ups of the Caped Crusaders and battles against the Joker and the Penguin. The entire set is viewable on the McFarlane Toys website and available for pre-order on Target once again for $59.99 this time, with a release date slated for later this year. If you're watching the video version, you can see the figures and the box itself.
All right. I kind of get the price point on this one.
Yeah.
Because it's an actual metal box with 4 figures in it and a couple of extra things. So I kind of get that.
Totally. So, hey, it's Batman 66. Why not? Next up, though.
In a surprise for everyone, Mattel has revealed that the latest figures in the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line are actually based on the 1987 live-action He-Man movie. Revealed on the Masters of the Universe Twitter account, the figures capture the film's rough likenesses of He-Man and Skeletor, who were played by Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella, respectively. While release dates have yet to be announced, the figures will come with weapon accessories, including He-Man's Power Sword and Skeletor's Havoc Staff, and packaging inspired by the film. Did you not think they were going to tap into this at some point? No. Did you not think they would figure out a way to monetize every piece of IP related to Masters of the Universe?
Folks, let two people of a certain vintage tell you that was a terrible movie.
I've never watched it.
Oh,
I couldn't bring myself to watch it. I couldn't. When I saw the commercials, I was like, ooh. No, I ain't paying money for that.
I would like to believe. I want to say I probably watched that in the theater for some stupid reason. But yeah, that was not a great movie, and still not a great movie. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. If you're, it's one of those, like, if you're the type to imbibe and want to watch a dumb movie, I probably wouldn't suggest that either. It's kind of a bad way for Frank Langella to go out, but nevertheless, here we are, just like Raul Julia was out on a bad movie. But anyway, hey, this is about the figures and not the movie itself, even though it's from that terrible, terrible movie. You know what? No, do watch that movie. We should all share in that. Watch the movie. It's terrible. It's not great. It's bad. It's bad, folks. Go ahead and watch it. Next up, DC moves Superman's Fortress of Solitude to an incredibly dangerous locale. This is spoilers for Batman Fortress number 4, which is, I think, out last week. For some reason, Batman goes look for the Fortress of Solitude because, oh, that's right, because I think Superman's not around, and Batman is the one heading up the battle for Earth. Some kind of way. I haven't read this thing, but I know bits and pieces of it. And I guess because it's an alien invasion, they go to find the home of another friendly alien that they know of and move it, apparently, to a place. I don't know how they got it there or why it's there, but nevertheless, it's somewhere deep. So if you want to know where that is or what that's about, check out Batman Fortress. Fortress, like, yeah, it's got me all choked up. Next up,
All right, in advanced solicitations for the Batgirls 2022 annual, which goes on sale November 29th from DC Comics. This article talks about how two of the three stars of Batgirls will experience a moment right out of Freaky Friday when they wake up inside each other's bodies in that upcoming annual that's going to come out at the end of November. It's in a story written by Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad and featuring art by Robbie Rodriguez, who we know from Ghost Spider. The annual issue will see Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown swapping places, which will leave Oracle trying to figure out how to reverse the process. Okay.
Sure. Martian Manhunter pulls the Red Hood Outlaws team through its paces. And this is for the DC Webtoons collaboration, apparently. Red Hood Outlaws has, I guess, a webcomic out there. So, let's see. Excuse me. Red Hood Outlaws was written by Patrick R. Young, illustrated by Nico Bascunian, and colored by Javier Rodriguez Bejares. Is this a different Javier Rodriguez, or is this the same one that going by his full name? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Has 4 episodes published on Webtoons so far, and already the titular team is in deep trouble because they were hired by a mob boss, Franco Bertinelli. That name should be familiar to some DC folks. To retrieve an alleged heirloom from Dinosaur Island, Red Hood and Bizarro Superman discover a booby-trapped cage full of skeletons. They get the artifact, and they get trapped. So apparently, Martian Manhunter is involved also, and you can check that out on Webtoons if you're so inclined to see what that's all about. Next up.
Alrighty, Zeus names a major Wonder Woman character. Spoiler of Olympus. Interesting. So the following contains spoilers for Olympus Rebirth #1, which is on sale now from DC Comics. Was that last week or this week?
Last week.
Okay, this is last week's story. So an important Wonder Woman character has been given that new role by Zeus himself. And apparently, Hippolyta is the one who has this new role. Yes. I'm not going to talk about what the new role is, but, go check out Olympus Rebirth #1 on sale now from DC Comics.
Well, if you know her current status in the DC universe now, you can probably gauge what that possibly could be. I guess before I do this next one, let me go ahead and get this one out of the way. DC Fandome 2022 has been canceled by Warner Brothers Discovery. That was the breaking news.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the breaking news I was talking about.
They canceled DC Fandome?
They did. So.
Oh, hold on. Come on, that's the best sound effect.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. According to Popverse, who recorded this today, September 1st, yes, as the DC Fandome 2022 has been canceled by Warner Bros. Discovery. DC released a statement to Popverse addressing the lack of DC Fandome 2022 announcement. Warner Brothers is excited to be able to engage with our fans live at numerous Comic-Cons around the world and will not be scheduling DC Fandome for 2022, end quote. So, yeah, that's it for that. That was the breaking news, folks. Now going back to the other news that I had, some other sad news, I guess. Well, definitely, actually. Doom Patrol writer Rachel Pollack in ICU, and there was a GoFundMe launched for medical bill help for her. Created by Patricia Nolan, the GoFundMe fundraiser seeks funds for medical bill help for Rachel Pollack. And there's a quote here from Patricia Nolan about that. Rachel Pollack is from accounts prolific, a Doom Patrol writer who's well regarded, I should say. I don't know too much about her, so my apologies for that because I'm not familiar. But she's known for writing Doom Patrol from 1993 to 1925. Let's see. Pollock introduced DC's first trans superhero, Kate Godwin Coagula, in 1993's Doom Patrol number 70. And then there's a quote in here about that. And also, let's see, she wrote the New Gods, 1993 Vertical Visions, Brother Power the Geek number 1, and 1998's Vertical Visions Tomahawk number 1, and more stuff. So yeah, if you want to, you can visit the GoFundMe that is attached to this this article if you're so inclined. And it also goes through some of her achievements that she has done over the years. So it's kind of a sad thing that this is the kind of way that people have to get, healthcare in the comics industry. But here we are. Next up.
So, in a book that dropped just this week, fans can read The Death Ranger on August 31st. It's a story in Power Rangers Unlimited number 1, and it's the story, and this is the story of the Death Ranger. It has the story of the Death Ranger in it. The one-shot special issue comic will inform fans about the history of a mysterious and deadly ranger that is said to have the power to raise people from the dead. Boom Studios recently shared a preview, and it's apparently going to be an interesting read. The Death Ranger is written by Paul Allor with art from Catherine Lobo and Kukovsky, Anna Chandra, colors by Fabi Marquez, Sarah Antonelli, and Sharon Marino, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. Okay.
Yep, and like Agent 7 said, that's out this week. Last but not least, Dark Horse to publish new graphic novel series that merges X-Men and Attack on Titan. This is coming from Akope. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong.
I mean, it's Attack on Titan.
Sure. And his imprint, Unique Studios, has been signed on to publish more graphic novels through Dark Horse. Okay, so Unique Studios is signed on to publish more graphic novels through Dark Horse. Okay, so that's one part of it. This expanded partnership not only encompasses new additions to the Afrocentric Unique Universe line, but also the debut of a brand new shared universe. That begins in 2024 as the Asiri, Volume 1, a book billed as equal parts X-Men and Attack on Titan. And this looks to be the cover art that is attached to this article. If you're watching the video versions, you can check that out there. Akope will write the series, Volume 1 with the creative team, also including the artist Samuel Ewunze, colorist Toyin Morbi Atumobi, cover artist Sun Kamini, Kobe. I apologize for butchering any of these names, folks. I do not mean to do that intentionally. But basically, this article talks about the concept for the Asiri and the Dark Horse Unique collaboration. So, cool. May have to check that out. And that's it, folks, for the comic book news. Can we get one more last ad read, please?
Our last ad read, before I think we have a little bit of personal toy corner, is for Amazon. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends, because sometimes you can get better prices. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
So yeah, before we leave out of here, we do have one quick toy corner here. I will be so glad when I get my green screen up. But I got a package in today. Actually, I got two packages in today, but y'all don't care about a Genesis controller, do you? You don't. Oh man.
You mean a Sega Genesis controller?
Yes. They have USB. They have USB controllers for pretty much almost any retro You know,
Right, like
constantly.
for emulator use. I get it.
Well, yeah, that too. I think because they also have those like those NES classics and those that they have that come with USB
Right.
controllers also that these are being used with. So yeah, anywho, I got one of those because I've been messing around with a Genesis emulator lately. So, anywho, folks, ta-da! Star Wars Reva from Obi-Wan Kenobi. It arrived.
Nice.
Yay! So I'm happy for that. It got a little smushed or some kind of way. I don't know how because the package was actually pretty solid. But then again, also the mail person just threw him a package, so that was a whole nother thing. But yeah, if you're watching the video version, you can see here. You got Reva, you got her lightsabers, single and dual version, which is the same kind as the Inquisitors use. And of course, there's some information about her on the back. But yeah, newest edition. There you go. And that's pretty much it for Toy Corner for this week. And the end of this here program. We'd like to thank all of you folks for coming out. We'll be back next Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the recording on the YouTube of the Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles, where that you can find us, I'm sure talking about something that came out of, something that probably came out of Disney Plus Day. If there's anything of note. Because let's face it, nothing's going to, I say that. Nothing's probably going to upend that original Disney Plus Day, let's face it, because there was a lot of stuff that came out. So, everything that's probably coming out, they'll probably be talking about the stuff that's already been announced.
Right. Ultimately, though, they may save some announcements for later in the weekend. So,
that's right.
It'll be the week after when we finally are able to cover all of the announcements from D23.
That is correct. Until then, and of course, we'll be back with another recap of She-Hulk next weekend, of course. Until then, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerd on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC_Dirt on Twitter. PopCultureNet on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com is on the sites therein. Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, CB Cron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account, the Kliq Nation on Twitter, and thekliqnation.com. But of course, you can definitely find him over at comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off. You can find this here podcast on the Coast of the Podcast Network, that's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. You can also find one of us at the local Target, looking but not touching, because as I said earlier, figures are expensive.
Yep.
But as I said, like I said, we will be back next week for more shenanigans and whatnot. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Comic.